Big L.
Right.
Big L had a name
Big
for
L.
himself. He was rapping early. He was signed early. He had some dangerous ass brothers.
Brothers, that what Cam said.
They was uptown really shaking and moving and shit like that. You dig? And that's not my part of town. I was uptown. You dig? Yeah, Cam used to be scared to death of them to the point he didn't want to come outside. I didn't understand it because I'm from downtown.
What's up, everybody? This is the world famous Ed Lover, and you are watching Forgotten Kings TV. That's right, Forgotten Kings TV. Come on, son.
Listen, y'all, when it comes to Jim Jones and Camron and their relationship, I'm not sure if we'll ever see them back in good graces ever again, because recently Jim Jones was on the NoRapCap podcast and he sent some shots at Cam. And of course, you know, moments ago, Camron would return fire. So listen, it's a lot over the years, right? Both sides, they done sent shots. But goddamn, it's 2026. Can we set the example? You know what I mean? For the younger generation. Because in my opinion, it's so much money that could have been made. But because of the politics, because of the beef, all of this hidden tension, I mean, god damn. Already, second week of 2026, and we got Cam and Jim Jones sending shots. Now, for those who missed what Jim Jones said about Camron recently, I'm about to play y'all this clip, and then we're going to follow up with Cam's response moments ago on IG. But like I said, y'all, god damn, I was just starting to think maybe there'll be a Dipset reunion, but yeah, after this, I don't know, y'all. Y'all got to let me know. But let's get to this clip so y'all can hear exactly what Jim Jones said about Camron in his recent interview. Check this out, y'all.
Scared to death of them niggas to the point he didn't want to come outside. I didn't understand it because I'm from downtown. You heard? We had our own set of killers.
NoRapCap podcast.
Dame Impact in Harlem was nothing. Not to say it like that. Dame came up under hustlers that Impact was it. He was a little dude when it came to hustling in Harlem. He wasn't not no Rich Porter, none of that type of. He wanted to hustle. He wanted to hustle for niggas like Rich Porter and shit like that. Dame from the East Side. We the niggas on the East Side is different from the niggas on the West Side. Now for the East Side, Dame was a big deal to us because we were little and he was coming from the West Side, little car, jewelry, and all that. So when you're young, he's looking like Rich Porter, but in reality, you know, he was like this nigga, go to the store, nigga, take a couple grams, get out of here.
NoRapCap podcast.
When you cancel out the street side of it and go into the music business of it, what was his impact with Dipset at that time?
He didn't have no impact with Dipset. Dipset, we made our impact on our own.
When y'all came over to Rockefeller, did y'all bring a certain energy that kind of ruffled the feathers of like state property and people like that?
No, we came over to Rockefeller, it was all love. Everybody in the studios doing music, state property, Bleak and diplomats. Everybody was doing music. That shit ain't started until they went through all that damn
The duel say Cam took over the rock, huh?
I mean, in that sense,
NoRapCap podcast.
Mace was talented. He was a dancer. I mean, and Mace didn't excel at the rapping really to after high school. They started getting on and shit like that, and then he excelled and started getting on first and signed first, and then that helped Cam and everybody get on and shit like that. But as far as making a name for themselves in the street, nobody had no name in the street like that.
Big L.
Right. Big L had a name for himself. He was rapping early. He was signed early. He had some dangerous ass brothers.
That what Cam said.
They was uptown really shaking and moving and shit like that. You dig? And that's not my part of town. I was uptown. Yeah, Cam used to be scared to death of them niggas to the point he didn't want to come outside. I didn't understand it because I'm from downtown. You heard? We had our own set of killers.
NoRapCap podcast.
Cam used.
All right, y'all. As y'all heard, according to Jim, Cam was scared back in the day. Okay, scared of Big L and his brothers. Listen, goddamn, rest in peace, Big L. But come on, y'all. We rehashing, old stories, and it leads to nothing positive. All it looks like is you kicking Cam in his back, the same individual who helped put you in the position you're in today. That's what looks crazy, no matter how you may feel behind the scenes, because, again, people may not be privy to, the truth of the real issue at hand. But let's be clear. To the world, we seen Cam, right? And you stated when it comes to Mace showing you how to rap, it's hard for people to side with you, constantly sending shots at Cam. And listen, I've seen Cam, send shots as well. That's why I said both parties. You get what I'm saying? They've sent their shots, but damn, whatever happened to just repping, the flag? You got to look at it like Wu-Tang, back in their prime, right? There was always issues, a lot of egos to have to manage. But today, right now, if you see Wu-Tang on that stage, everybody's united. No one's bigger than the Wu. You know what I mean? And that's crucial, right? For the success of your brand today in 2026. And you have so many people who made great contributions to Dipset, right? No matter how you look at it, there's a lot of entities involved in keeping it, going, making it relevant all of those years. And of course, Jim was a part of that, but he wasn't alone. You know what I mean? So you got to understand the bigger picture. That's why when I see all of the members, doing interviews, and it just seems like everything is spread out. Why not leave it under one flag? But come on, I guess that's a perfect world. But again, let's get into Camron's response moments ago. On IG, of course, he got, I guess you heard about this clip. And this is what Cam had to say, man. Cam said, how you worried about me when your heat off and your rent due? All right. In the caption, he says, I heard it was 7 degrees in the Bronx last night. All right. Now, listen, we already seen 50, put out there that Jim Jones didn't, pay all of the money for the podcast, the location for the studio. Listen, man, like I said, it's just nasty work when you think about it overall, because this is 2026. Everybody's in a different phase in their career. And I understand how everybody wants to be a boss. You know what I'm saying? But come on, y'all. Y'all made some memorable moments in hip hop, epic. Unfortunately, the last time we seen everybody together, y'all got bodied by Jada, right? By Locks. But regardless, you know what I mean? Y'all made great contributions to the rap game, right? Many records sold in hip hop. And it's just unfortunate when you see the beef going on like this, because again, recently when I'm seeing the interviews of Hal Rell and them on Jim Jones' platform, and then you see Cam on Talk with Flea, he got the Dipset jacket on. I start seeing little things and I'm like, well, okay, maybe everybody's starting to get back in good graces, right? But then every now and then, shots get fired. You know what I mean? This isn't the first time Jim has said some things about Cam and Mace, and I'm sure many of you will pull out receipts of Cam and Mace maybe sending shots at Jim. So it's just a lot of clowning, you know what I mean, for many years. And it's, like I said, it's a lot when we dealing with men and egos. But overall, from a fan's perspective, like I said, you think about the rap game today and how once upon a time, hip hop, the Mecca, you know what I'm saying? New York, y'all had the title and it was lost, right? Some would argue that the South has been dominating ever since. And you wonder what happened. You know what I mean? How could you restore that essence and bring, the honor back to where it all started? To me, the only way you could do that is to, move, wisely, do better today. You know what I mean? Let's be clear. The beefing and kicking each other in the back, I don't see how that adds value to the flag, right? To the movement that y'all all created. It's obvious Jim feels how he feels, but the division is what resulted into, the dominance from Atlanta in the rap game. They came in during a time where people were exhausted of the beef. You know what I'm saying? The back and forth. And now we in the podcast era and everybody's starting a podcast, but their approach is, let me kick my homie in the back. You know what I mean? Let me send some shots at homie that, put me in position where I'm at today to feed my family. That looks crazy. That's why I said to the fans, you're never going to win that battle. You know what I mean? And to me, so much money has been missed out. It was the same thing with Max B. I'm like, yo, you got one individual who could unite all of these, you know what I mean, entities together just for him and his return. Because again, let's be clear, Max made records with Jim, right? Him and Stacks. I mean, come on. Like I said, what example do we set? But as of right now, this is the latest between Cam and Jim Jones. I'm hoping at some point they have that conversation because, again, this isn't the first time they've been, going back and forth. And, we've seen situations where we've seen them back on stage, but the more and more I see Jim in these interviews and I see how he with the bullshit, it's like, yo, and the same with Cam. I got to be honest. You know what I mean? Cam, every now and then he be on his bullshit as well. So like I said, we only got about another 5 or 10 years of shelf life when it comes to these topics, if you're being honest, because the younger generation, they got their own era of artists. You know what I mean? They got their own, lane. So this is why I said, damn all of the beef. Let's get back to this money. That's what I be thinking about. But again, enough of me on the soapbox. Y'all let me know, what are your thoughts on this back and forth involving Jim Jones and Camron? Again, do you agree with some of the points I made in this video in regards to, seeing the back and forth between Jim and Cam over the years? Like I said, everyone involved, on that side made many great contributions to the rap game, to hip hop. And when you see them today, going back and forth, bringing up these old moments, memories, it gets very, sensitive. You've seen what happened when Cam and them brought up the Big L situation. You get what I mean? So, like I said, we got to start looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is restoring order in the rap game. Beefing is not going to, get us back to where we need to be. But again, the lifestyle that we live, being capitalist, everybody got to be a boss. You know what I mean? Somebody got to one up over everyone else. And I think that's partly what the issue is here. Jim is a boss in his world and Cam is, in his world as well. But when they're all together, Jimmy played a role for so many years that every now and then someone feels like, they bigger than the program. And people got to understand that Dipset and their history, nothing should come between that. You know what I mean? But again, that's me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But with that being said, again, my name is Sensei Rip. Till next time, peace. Y'all crazy, man. 2026. Y'all bugging. All right, y'all. I'm out. Peace. Salute world, I need y'all to do me a favor right now and check out the homie Hotep's latest single, Love for Fashion. All right, available on all streaming platforms. I'm about to bless y'all with a teaser from the video. If you like what you hear, make sure to hit the link in the description. Head on over to his YouTube channel, subscribe, like the video, and make sure to tell him Rip sent you. All right? All right, y'all. Peace.
Yeah, but real quick. Go pretty boy. Rip going sneakers with the real shirt. Oversized slacks, so the jean shorts. I don't know. Matter of fact, I'm Mary's go right with the fit. Got a clear pepper, these Cartier frames got tints.